we are all in dire predicaments regarding our national identity and regarding our people and our natural resources. However, what I'm here today to speak to is the hope that we have. Not just hope, but the actions that have been taken in recent years that actually are moving us toward a resolution and toward a reclamation of who we are, as well as our lands and our people. So there have been many people involved over the last 40, 50 years. I personally have been involved nearly 40 years in this movement, gradually, and much more so in the last 20 years. But what has happened over the years is that we've come to identify what the problems are, as you've heard, and we've come to identify the situation we're in, as well as the challenges we're facing. And we've also come to figure out how to proceed and how to recapture who we are. Shortly after the apology that Alfred mentioned, the apology law that was issued in 1993, Hawaiians immediately began to formulate ways in which we could reclaim our government and our nation. And so several independent governments sprang up based on the fact that we believe that our Hawaiian kingdom, because it was unlawfully taken and because it was unlawfully supplanted, is actually still lawfully in existence. And this has been pursued, and we are convinced now that we are the Kingdom of Hawaii that was established in 1810, 200 years ago, by the way. This is our anniversary. That the kingdom of government is still existent, that we are in continuity, to use a term that was, to use an international term. So the Hawaiian kingdom is in continuity. We as a nation never disappeared or never were extinguished. We actually still are around, even though for many years you couldn't see us. So what we are doing today is raising up who we are so that people can see us. So the identity of the Hawaiian people and the identity of our nation is very steadily progressing, as far as more and more people becoming aware and more people taking actions. Pokasa, that he hadn't participated in the U.S. tax system since 70-something, yeah. And I got out of it in 1989, and there are many others as well. And these are our ways of expressing and asserting who we are, that we are not U.S. citizens, we are not subject to their laws, that they are really an occupying force, an illegal occupying force, that are enforcing their own laws, domestic laws, upon a foreign nation, which is who we are. So by doing this, we assert who we are, and we adamantly work toward a time when the rest of the nations begin to see us. And I believe that as we appear in places like this at the United Nations, and as we conduct discussions with our neighbors around the Pacific, we are fast getting close to that point where people are beginning to see us. And so this is what we are achieving today. And we're achieving this not because we want to, necessarily just because we want to have our country back, but because we believe it is our duty to our future to take back control and to take back the destiny of our country. Because the way things are going, as it has been described by many here today, the way things are going, if we continue to be out of action and out of control of our destiny and the direction where we're going, we are really going to be totally lost. We had come to the brink almost of extinction of our culture back in the 1960s, but fortunately there were some things that occurred, and some people began to remember, and we began to reclaim our culture. And as a result of that, we began to reclaim our identity. And as a result of that, we began to identify and reclaim our political identity as well. So it started with the cultural reawakening, and then it grew into more of an identity of who we are, and then into a political identity as well. So we are fast approaching the point where we are about to make some breakthroughs in expressing who we are with other nations. We are on the verge of signing some treaties with other peoples who are seeking independence as well, or it's simply other people groups who are there, and we are beginning to assert ourselves that way. Polka had mentioned that we had treaties with all the major nations of the world back in the 19th century. And so these treaties, if we are a nation in continuity, and we are, then these treaties are actually still extant as well. So we are seeking to reestablish connections with the treaty nations, which are Switzerland, Great Britain, France, Germany, Sweden, Denmark, most of the nations that are here represented at the United Nations. Of course, there are many, many new nations that weren't around at the time, but we are seeking to then establish diplomatic relations, trade relations, just friendship with these other nations. And as we do so, people begin to see us. So this is our report, is that we are very, very not just hopeful, but I believe we are optimistic about where we're headed, and the imminent return of the Hawaiian people, or at least Hawaiian nation. We don't know exactly what the form of it is going to be yet. We still have to decide what that's going to be. But the Hawaiian nation as a sovereign and independent nation. So, mahalo.
Thank you, Leon. I want to